I would like to take just a short break right now in order for us to have a look at the main chapters we discussed so far. So for that, we go. So in order to get into this page, we just go into Google and just explain briefly. We take the so we make sure we take the official documentation, and down here you're going to find all the chapters that are required for you to know for the certification. You already know because I mentioned it in the first part. I will not go into the theory, I will not explain the resources or the products. This is not the purpose of this series. What I want to explain is just the most tricky parts that usually get unnoticed, even after doing the practice tests once or twice. So, the use cases discussed so far cover these chapters, which are managed identities and governance, deploy and manage Azure compute resources, configure and manage virtual networks, and monitor and backup Azure resources. For today, actually for this part, I was thinking to discuss about managed identities and governance and implementation and management of storage in Azure. Let's go to Azure AD or AAD. Because it seems this is the part that scares lots of people. There are some concepts that are a bit more difficult to understand, but I'll do my best to explain them in order for you to identify what's the exact requirement of the exam. So we have a bunch of people right here. We have John, Sophie, Anne, and Mark. Each of them has a different role except for John, which has no role. Sophie is an Intune admin, Mark is cloud device admin, Anne is global admin. We also have a Windows 10 computer and an Azure AD tenant. Now the question is, if John joins the computer to Azure AD tenant, what users among these guys will be admins on this computer? And the question here is John, the guy who joined the computer, and Anne. And why is that? Is that the person that joins the computer will become admin on this computer, and all the global admins will also become admins. The rest of them, Sophie and Mark, their roles will be the same. So now we have a more complex situation, which is quite normal for this kind of exams, and especially for this one. By the way, for the exam, you can expect to have a very long use case that takes even 5 minutes to read and to understand. Sometimes, at least this is what I did. I didn't read all the text and made sure that I understood everything. I just took the key elements because you might not even have enough time to understand every line they write in there, but you just need to understand what they want from you. So if we go back to our situation, we have a company that has a storage account stored in Azure. This storage account has a file share called cat, and the same company has two servers, 1 and 2. Okay, I didn't want to go here yet. It has two servers, server 1 and server 2. I just wanted to simplify the names. And each server has two files in them, cat and dog, and the server 2 has the files dog and mouse. Now there are different steps that are done. So the file share from the storage account is added to a sync group in Azure File Sync, and the two servers are added as server endpoints. So we have this scenario that we have to consider. Now the question is, what happens with the two files that have the same name? So with cat file, will the file here on server 1 be overridden by the file that we have on the storage account in Azure after this scenario is done, of course? And the answer is no, and this is quite normal. This is expected because Azure doesn't want you to lose your files. What happens in the end with these three files is that you'll end up by having the first one, so cat file. You'll have the second one, cat dash server one file. And why that? Because what Azure automatically does for you will append the server name to the file name. And you'll also have the dog file. This is the first scenario. The second one is the opposite. What happens with cat file on the storage account will be overridden by the cat file from the server. And similar to the previous question is no, they will not be overridden. You're going to find all the files, which is quite normal again, as I've already mentioned. So you'll end up by having these three files: cat dash server one, and dog. Now the question is for this specific file we'll have in here, the file cat from server one. Will it be replicated on the server 2? This is the question. And as you probably expect that is yes, you're going to find all the files in place. So in the end, we're going to have the file cat, so this one. You'll have cat-server1, dog-server1. And why that? Because we are talking about server 2 right now. And you'll also find these two files, dog and mouse. So these are, which is normal, you're gonna have all these files right here. You're gonna find them under these names.